we'll get started. So if we haven't met, I'm Jennifer Elliott, and this is Yin for the upper body. So let's get started either in our 2-block heart opener or whatever back bend you'd like. And again, I don't play music, so feel free to use any music you'd like in the background. I think that'll just come across a little bit better. All right, let's get started. So get yourself set up in whatever version of that heart opener you'd like. And if you're using the blocks, we're trying to have the blocks right at the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. Legs are up to you. I'm going to keep my knees bent. Arms are out to the sides, palms open. And I use a timer on my phone. It's called Insight Timer. It just gives us a nice bell. And so we're going to be in this first pose for 4 minutes. Really just setting up our intention, connecting to our breath, and starting to create that space in the chest. If you have any low back sensitivities or just feels nice, the feet can go a little wider, knees can fall into one another. So just begin to soften the jaw, relax the eyes. Take a few moments just to drop into this space. And really start to create this universe on your mat. It's really hard to find that the yoga studio is some separate place now that you go to and you have that time and space to sort of shift your attention. And so now we sort of step onto our mat and that becomes our whole universe, and we tune our attention in and we try to shift that way. So as you close the eyes and you start to shift, move your attention in on yourself, what do you notice? Do you notice the breath first, or the thoughts? Maybe you notice the body, is it comfortable or not? And then make adjustments. If you need to make adjustments on your props to be more comfortable, do that. Start to let the breath get a little heavy and smooth. And let's begin to take a nice full inhale through the nose. Open the mouth and let it out. And again, in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it out. In through the nose. Hold at the top. Sip a bit more breath in through the nose. Sip a bit more breath in. Open the mouth and let it out. Then take an inhale through the nose. And an exhale back out. And just take a few more natural breaths like that on your own. The breath is this great tool we use to sort of bridge between our mind and our body. It's our breath, our prana, that animates the body. And where the prana goes, attention follows. So you can bring attention to your body by directing the breath. Got less than a minute to go here. And as we're watching the breath, it's nice to investigate and notice how the breath is happening without your control, or even if you are controlling it. Is it more through the nose or the mouth? Can you notice the breath across the nasal passages? Does it feel hot or cold? Is it smooth and deep or shallow and jagged? These last few moments to observe. If the legs are in butterfly or any other configuration, bend your knees, place your feet on the floor. Reach your arms up overhead, interlace the hands, turn the palms open. Maybe do a nice good yawn that helps to release the neck, the nervous system, the upper back. Bring the arms overhead, change the interlace, reach back behind you again. Maybe yawn again. And then release your arms. You're going to bend your knees if they weren't already. Roll to your left side. Now when you get to your left, we're going to completely lie in fetal position. I'm going to just keep these blocks here because they're here and I'm lazy. But this could be anything underneath the head. It could be your bolster or your blanket. So I'm going to pull my knees in. So I'm just in a side-lying position. My left elbow is bent. And I'm going to bring the other arm on top. So I'm sort of elbow on top of elbow. I'm going to take an inhale and open up the right arm like I'm opening a book. And then exhale, bring it back. Again, inhale, open, keep the knees together, and close. All right, the last one we'll keep. So inhale, open. Now when you get here, the idea is that because we're so much on the left side, that right shoulder may not make it down to the floor. And as long as that's okay for you, that's okay for us. We're going to let it hover. Or if you need to make changes or it just naturally goes down to the ground, you can shift a little bit. So I'm going to start our timer, but we'll be here opening up the shoulder for about 3 minutes. And in this pose, you can keep both arms in cactus. That left hand can rest on the top thighs. If you have any low back sensitivity, your blanket or bolster can go between the legs. And I'm finding now that I've moved into this, I don't need my prop underneath my head. And for me right now, it feels really good to have a neutral neck, just sort of looking at the ceiling. But you might explore looking in the direction of the knees and giving your neck a nice sort of stretch. So once you've found your position, commit to stillness. And it's very much a mindfulness practice. So meditation might be challenging for you, but we have these just small segments, these small little poses where it could be a 3-minute meditation, a 2-minute meditation. And so you just find your position and you commit to it. Let gravity take over, let the breath take over. Meditation can either be a one-pointed focus. In this case, that could be the breath or sensation you're feeling in the body. But the other side of the coin for meditation is being open to receive. So you might just allow yourself to settle and then see what comes up for you, whether it be your thoughts, your breath, a sensation. So either decide to focus on something or be open to receive anything that comes. About a minute left. Even in these simple poses, you might notice yourself resisting. Come to center, maybe not even resisting, maybe just not being present. So come to center for a moment, knees fall into one another. For me, my right shoulder feels a lot warmer. I'm going to roll to the right side. Same thing on this side. So palm over palm, maybe something under the head. Bend to the elbows, because remember, it's one half of that. Cactus arms, knees into the chest. Inhale, open up the left arm. Exhale, close it back. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Last one we'll keep. Inhale, open. You can stay or remove your prop. We're going to stay for that same 3 minutes. Right arm can stay in your cactus or it can place on your knee. See if you can open up that top arm. Now for me, my left shoulder just sort of naturally dropped down. On the first side, I was not that open. So some of it has to do with maybe already starting to relax a little bit more. This is, I think, my more open side. So you might notice those changes too. Maybe it doesn't feel as extreme. Maybe this is the side you put a little extra work into. Once you find it, close the eyes. Notice those areas of resistance, maybe the shoulders or lower back, the jaw. And just consciously ask them to relax. Usually they'll listen. And then let's animate the pose with the breath. We'll move through Samavriti, even ratio breathing. So we'll take an inhale through the nose to a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhale out the nose, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 4. Continue this on your own. You can explore the direction of your gaze, get into your neck if you want to look in the same direction as the knees. Got less than a minute to go. Okay. Come back to center. Just take a moment, knees bent. Let the knees fall into one another. See how you feel. You might feel some nice warmth along the spine. And then when you're ready, straighten your legs out on the floor. So you're going to take your legs straight. We're moving into Banana Asana. So once you find your sort of Shavasana here, walk your feet off to the left side. So you can kind of find the left corner of your mat. And then I'll let you decide, cross one leg over the other. But keep the hips down. We don't want our hips to rotate in any way. And then reach the arms behind you. And again, up to you. You might grab elbows. You can place hands under the head like a sit-up, or you can reach for the wrist. The idea is that we're just getting some length here. And then we're going to shimmy our torso over to that left side as well. So we're nice side bending to the left, feet and upper body. So we'll stick with this 3 minutes. I encourage you to notice, how are you working with that time? I was recently taught a yin training, and at the beginning of the week we used 3-minute holds, but by the end we were up to 5 and 6 minutes, and people were even ready to stay much longer. And so notice as we progress today how that time feels for you. Is it too much, too little, just right? So this pose is just how it sounds. We look like a banana on the ground. Our target area is side body. You can do anything that gets into that side body stretch. And as we open the side body, we not only get the tissue in the side of the waist, but also through the side ribs. And if we're able to expand those ribs, we're able to get more breath into the lungs, more space for the lungs to breathe. So as you close the eyes, just allow yourself to imagine that you're not only breathing into the front ribs, but can you expand the side ribs and even the back ribs? A little over a minute left. We're not looking to just stretch muscles, but the connective tissues that surround the muscles, surround the joints, the organs, this interconnected inner web. But the tissue that surrounds the muscle, it's not elastic. It doesn't sort of bounce back. It's more plastic, like if you were to morph a plastic bag with your thumb. So let's slowly come to center. Shavasana. So release the arms, release the feet. Just take a moment and see how that side feels different. And because those tissues are not elastic, they're not just going to bounce back, we take a moment of rest, a sort of a rebound, and just let all the goodness happen as you sort of move those tissues apart, creating some space and the fluid to move in, creating some healing. So we'll switch sides now. So walk your feet over to the right side. Again, you decide which ankle you're going to cross on top. I'm going to do the same one for me. And then move your upper body over to the right. Grab elbows or whatever is working for you. Same 3 minutes. Let the eyes close. And check back in. How's this side compared to the other? And don't let yourself have any expectations or preconceived ideas. Meet yourself in the body you are in today. And investigate as if it's the first time you've been there. Breathe into those side ribs, into the back body. Can you find something new? Continue with your breath. About a minute left. I'm surprised how poses can become more intense. I was going to give this whole spiel about how I'm feeling great on my left side and both sides. But as we've been here longer, I can definitely feel how this is becoming a different pose. I'm not assuming, really just observing. All right, come to center. Little Shavasana, just let your shoulders relax, let your feet flop apart, or if you weren't in this pose, take a moment just to rebound, whatever that means for you. And then bend your knees if you're on your back. You can roll to your side. We're going to press ourselves up. I'm going to use 2 blocks for this. I think that usually works the best. I've seen people do this with a bolster. I just don't do that very often, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. So we're going to move into Anahatasana, but more to get sort of the back of the arm. So if you don't have props, any sort of working through the top arm is fine. But I'm going to set up my blanket. I already know I'd like a little knee padding here. And then I'm going to take my blocks and set them. I like them on the second height. You can do it higher or lower. And then what we're going to do is as I set my forearms down, I'm going to walk my elbows as far away from me as I can get, walk my knees back a little bit. And then as I drop the chest through the center, I get onto the back of the meat of the arm, and then I can bring my thumbs a little bit closer. So again, it's upper body. If this isn't for you, anything that's going to stretch that top arm is fine. We're going to stick with the 3 minutes. It's a good number. But again, it's target area. So if you have knee sensitivity, if you have any sort of ulnar nerve issue where it's not real great to put weight on your elbow, anything that's going to move into your upper back. It could be that 2-block heart opener again. It could even be Sphinx or Seal. So those are all nice options. So again, walk the elbows away, palms meet, walk the knees away, and then drop yourself back into Anahatasana. And for me, I can feel that I went too deep too fast. So for me, I'm going to back off a little bit. Try it again so I don't go to my limit right away. And then use the breath to guide you, to coax you deeper. If you're able to take smooth, even breaths, you're in the right place for you. About halfway through our pose. Maybe you're coming back to that Samariti breath, even ratio, in and out for 4. Whatever number you can keep equal on inhale and exhale. Another breath. Okay. Move super slow. We want to rebound, but we're going to find our way onto our belly. And I already had this blanket underneath me, which is really nice since we're going to be on our belly for Sphinx. So if you have low back sensitivity, definitely put a prop underneath you like a blanket, but it just feels nice to kind of be here. So we're going to move into Sphinx. I am eventually going to want my bolster, so I'm just going to have that nearby. And I'm staying relatively low right now in my Sphinx. I'm going to maybe take it up higher, but I'm still rebounding from that last pose. So if this is too high in your Sphinx, remember you can go lower, you can rest. Otherwise, just take a moment, get yourself set up in Sphinx. Okay. We're going to stay with this 3 minutes. And in your Sphinx, this may be plenty. We did start to really work on the upper back already. So if you feel that you can go deeper in this, you can always set your forearms higher on either a bolster or set of blocks. Remember, this is different than more of a yang practice where I'd be asking you to root through the feet and really activate the legs. Let everything settle. If you have low back disc herniations or you know you need to have a little TLC, then keep yourself a little bit lower versus going to that higher level. Generally, when we do yin, we're targeting the hips, the lower back. There's so much connective tissue there. There's so many muscles and sort of the way the joints work together. There's a lot of strength, but also a lot of mobility. I guarantee we all have stress in our upper back, our shoulders, our neck. Because those areas are also mobile, but much less stable. And that's where we hold our tension. And so it's nice to sort of move into these practices that equally release the upper back as well as the lower body. So we're a little bit past halfway through our pose. I'm going a little higher. Maybe you're ready to explore that as well. You can even straighten the arms and lift up into seal. If you get it all the way up into seal, you may feel the stretch in the front line body versus just the back body. Five breaths left. Okay, gently lower and rest. So I'm going to let myself just rest over the bolster how I have it. Just do some sort of rest or rebound from where you are. I'm going to stay with my bolster because it's nice and comfy, but this could also be your blocks. We're going to move into crushed wings. So I'm crossing at the elbows. I may eventually drop my forehead down. It just depends on how I'm feeling. And then right now I'm just pretty much barely crossed at the elbows. But I can tie it up a little bit tighter here and then maybe drop. So up to you, one arm in front of the other. If that's not for you, you can do anything that takes one arm across the other. So again, target area, working into that outer shoulder if it's not this pose. I'm going to keep us with our 3 minutes. Good number. Usually when I do this, I have a very intense sensation in my right shoulder, sort of a little buzziness. But as I do this more and more, it's starting to slowly relax. It's not quite as intense as it used to be. So sometimes that happens, just like when you have an injury or anything that makes you protect an area or sort of subconsciously be mindful or aware. Even when those things are healed, we don't always sort of heal that new connection of knowing that it's okay or that it's safe, or we can go a little deeper. So that's why when we're in our practice, we want to move free from expectation, just observe where we are. Sometimes we put those expectations on ourselves and they're not even true. It's not even where we are that day. About halfway through this pose, maybe release the forehead. Less than a minute to go. So again, we want to breathe in all directions. If lying in your belly feels uncomfortable or it feels like this is restricting your breath, remember there's just as many ribs and movement that happens in the side body, the back body. So imagine that you could breathe through the back ribs. You can even feel that expansion on each inhale. All right. So go slow. Notice which arm is in front. I didn't give you a direction. So pause, take that little rebound, and then switch. So the other side in front. Elbow in front of elbow. Let's start the timer. So we're going to here longer than we need. But notice that warmth, that circulation that we've just added to the area, the healing. And as we move to the side, see how you're feeling. And if you want, you can rest your forehead. right, we're approaching halfway through. You may have been to a chiropractor before where you lie on the table and the table sort of gently tractions you and then relaxes and tractions and relaxes. That's similar to what we're doing. We're putting stress on the tissues, pulling, pushing, whatever it is. You can slowly back out and rebound. And then it's in that rebound as we sort of move away from the pushing or pulling that we sort of hydrate, we vacuum that moisture in. And that's just what is happening at the chiropractor. They're helping to imbibe, pull that moisture into the tissues. So we're going to do one more pose on our belly here, but I'm going to show an alternative because that's not for everybody, always being on the belly. So if doing this on the belly is not for you, you can sit on a prop or on the floor. I just like this because it's a nice height for me. And I'm sitting, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 inches away from the wall. It's a little different for everybody. My hips are facing forward. So this is the alternative. Doesn't mean it's not great too. This is one of my faves. So if you want, you take that right arm back, thumb up, and sort of just gently start to look away from the hand. And so this is our option, which I might come back to because it's actually feeling pretty nice. Or you're going to lie on your belly for what we call extended wings. So that last one was crushed wings. This is extended wings. So I'm going to take the right arm out, 90 degrees, right ear down, and I'm going to roll onto my side, legs in fetal position. Left arm can be in front of me, under the cheek, or behind the back. And then you can open up that top knee. If that's too much leveraging, bring the knee back together. So choose one of those or something similar. Again, the target area is opening up through that right shoulder. We're going to stick with our 3 minutes. Okay, and if you want, you can always take that blanket or other prop under your head if you're doing the one on your belly. Turn this way. Now, if you bring that top leg up and it feels too extreme, just bring those legs back together. You don't want to force it in the shoulders. We've been doing a little bit, so I'm thinking maybe you might have that space, but again, meet yourself where you are. If you're prone to shoulder dislocations, I wouldn't do this on the ground. I would do the opposite one, seated or near a wall. And if you're just over the shoulder openers, this is our last one, but if you're over it, take any other pose, that's fine. Okay, we're halfway through, so this is a great time to assess. Can you commit to stillness of where you are, or do you need to make changes? Some of you are able to bring that second knee up. Yeah, that top arm can do whatever you'd like. I see some students reaching back and reaching for the other wrist, which is nice sometimes, but sometimes it pulls the bottom arm out of orientation. So what we want to think is we want to be real safe in that top shoulder. We're here 5 more breaths. All right, saved by the bell. Go super slow. It's tempting to roll up fast, but take your time. And then side 2. So you might have to change and go to the wall or do a different version if that's not for you. This is our last sort of full shoulder opener. All right, 3 minutes. Some of you may have done a nice flow practice right before, so this might be a really nice way to release the tension in the shoulders after they did some nice work for you. Maybe you've just been on your computer all day, and same thing, give you a chance to open up, create some space. All right, we're approaching halfway. Some of you may add one or both knees up. If that's too much leverage, just bring it down. We'll commit to stillness. We've got about 15 breaths here to finish out our pose. And your last 5 breaths. All right, so slowly move out. Take your time. Move slow. We're either going to be seated or I'll give this to you at the wall. But I like the seated version. I'm going to use a prop. So shoelace, gomukhasana, same thing. Just depends on how you'd like to say it. So I'm pulling one foot in, I'm crossing the other leg over. And I'm sitting on a folded blanket. I could always lift this higher. So if you feel anything in your knees, your hips, your back, you can add height. So what I'm going to do here is the leg that's crossed over, that's on top, I'm going to put a block on that same side. And then I'm going to lean over. I'm going to put my elbow on the block. I'm not lifting this left hip. I want it rooted. I can let my head just rest on my hand and then maybe reach the other arm over or let it droop. So again, it's into the side body. If your shoulder is done, then just lean over to the side. If you're not into that at all and you'd rather just do the pose seated forward, that's fine. So I'll start our timer. We'll stick with the 3 minutes. We haven't done much with the hips, so maybe a bit much if we go too much more than that. If this is not for you, you can do this at the wall, which is really nice. Legs up the wall. And then you just cross knee over knee and let the feet slide down to either side. So you can do that if you wanted to add the side twist, you can. But it might be nice just to stay present still. Choose which one you'd like, shoelace seated or find it at the wall. If you don't have a prop, you can even just put your hand down to the side and reach the other arm over. Yeah, so everyone does it different. I personally like to lean to the side of the top leg. If I lean the other way, I feel like I'm going to fall over. But different teachers teach differently. So just find some consistency for you so that you're doing both sides. So when you get to the second side, you've achieved both side angles. All right, we're more than halfway through. I might continue to breathe in that side body again. I just find that I can get just a little deeper here than in the banana asana one. All right, so in a moment the timer is going to go off. When it does, release the top arm first. And then you can slowly bring your torso to center and just take a pause, just to rebound, let that sort of settle in. And then when you're ready, switch sides. So the other leg on top. I think I'm able to do this. Yep. Great. Okay, so moving to the other side. Again, it doesn't have to be this pose. It can be a similar shape. But listen to your body. It's really interesting with my toes just sort of contemplating that and self-reflecting on how something so small can really affect sort of the whole body and the whole ability to move or to adapt. It's a great teacher. It's a great tool to find different ways to get into your body, into your practice. So for me, it just gives me a nice reason to not necessarily do vinyasa, and then I can spend more time in yin and meditation. And so we can use those injuries or those times that we back off of something as a tool to get into something else we might not normally. So if this pose isn't for you, just find something else that is. It doesn't even have to look like this. Maybe it's just child's pose or legs up the wall. We're about halfway through this pose, so that'll help you to decide. A little over a minute left. All right, do the arm first. Release that top arm. And then slowly press yourself up. Okay, I know, right? Your low back needs a minute. This is why we don't move fast. You can kind of feel it sort of settling. So give yourself a moment. So I'm going to give you a few options for your practice. So we'll do some sort of a forward fold, then we'll end with final stretch. And I'll explain those if those aren't terms that you know from me. So one option of a forward fold, I just happened to grab my blanket. It was next to me. It can just be a standard forward fold. This can also be legs up the wall if your low back wants a little bit more TLC, or this can be a wide butterfly. So you decide. I'm going to stick with the forward fold. You can do legs up the wall, wide butterfly. You can even do plow if you want. You might have a block or a prop for under your forehead. So we'll be here just 2 minutes, not as long, as we're winding down, and then we'll take our final stretch. And there's so many ways to get into this. I was actually watching some of my students the other day, and they did this great thing with blocks on the either side of the legs, prop on top of that, and then they were able to release their forehead a bit more comfortably. So again, just make it work for you, whatever that means. Since I did this whole setup, I'm going to stick to it. About a minute left. get set up for our final pose. And we're going to do this. It's going to be a stretch with the strap if you've got it. Now what I'm going to do, just to kind of stay in this theme of shoulders and neck, I have a super long strap. So I think this is like 10 feet or something like that. So it's a little extra long. So if you have a strap and you can loop it, great. Yours may not be the right length. So just know that ahead of time if you realized yours was super short. But what I'm going to do with this, you can put it behind your body. So I'm going to show you two options here. And if you have this behind your body and it's long enough to do that, I don't have to hold this. We did all that work with the shoulders. It's nice to not have to reach up for the strap. So this just goes under my body. It tends to slide down, so you want to have it real high. But I'm going to show you one more thing. So if your strap is shorter or you feel like you still have some neck tension, you can use this as a head hammock. And you have to be real mindful. So really listen if you're going to do this, if you've not done it before. But you can take the strap under the base of the head. So it's not on the neck. It goes right up to the base of the hairline. And so for me, it's not tight enough. I got to tighten it up. I'm going to slide it to the base of my hairline. And if I gently push my foot away, it will traction my head. So you should feel like you get a stretch in the hamstrings and it's giving you a nice traction for your head. So you decide any version of just straightening up the leg. We'll just do a minute. And again, if you have any concerns, I have a lot of neck issues, so I actually really like this, but I also know that there's times when I don't want to do anything to my neck. So if you're concerned at all, just skip it. But otherwise, it might be that one last way to traction and release your upper back. Couple more breaths. Okay, now if you have the head hammock, very gently take it off the head to the ground. Now you either have the strap under your body or you're holding it, whatever was making sense for you. Let's open out to the right. You can have a prop underneath your hip. I forgot to grab one, and I actually like to go a little higher than normal. So I like to actually bend my elbow and just support the side of my leg and hold the strap. I find that I can very easily overstretch my hamstrings, or technically it's really going to be my adductors, right? Because this is the inner thigh. And you might feel that kind of close to the sit bone. So I just feel for me personally at the end of the practice, I don't need to go much deeper than this. And so notice for you, if all you're doing is getting to the floor, you might be lifting that back leg, or you might be overdoing it a bit. So find that Goldilocks, that happy medium for you. Okay, bring it up. Cross it over any amount. So you're either holding the strap, it's under your back, or if you're like me on this side, I have a wall. We'll see if that's okay for my toes. Yep, it is. So you can use a wall if you'd like. And sort of come full circle. So we're back to a twist, a little bit maybe into the shoulders. How is this different? What about you? I feel much more open in the upper body, much more relaxed. Okay, come to center. We'll finish our practice on the other side. So lower the right leg down. You might feel some nice warmth and circulation on that side. Left foot into the strap. It's either under your back, you're holding it, or you've decided to stick with that head hammock again. And make sure that you're not adjusting. Like if I adjust, I hold the base of my head and then I lift my body and then adjust the strap. I'm not trying to pull myself up. I'm trying to be real mindful of my neck. So once you feel safe and stable, it's just sort of maybe at the base of the ears, like some earmuffs, then you can press your foot into the strap. Get into the hamstrings, stretch the neck, but in a way that feels good and safe for you. Otherwise, just any hamstring stretch here is fine. And then you're going to explore pointing or flexing the top foot. Does that change anything in your experience? Okay, if you have the head hammock, very gently take it off the head, set your head down, open left, whatever that looks like for you. You can use a wall as well. All right, let's finish by crossing that leg over. Take your remaining twist. All right. Bring yourself out, and then we're going to set ourselves up for Shavasana. So do what you'd like to get comfortable. I'm actually going to use my blocks and put my bolster on top of that. You might put on any extra layers or blanket. And we'll do a 3-minute Shavasana. I'll set the timer so that we know how long we're there. All right. So 3-minute Shavasana. Any Shavasana you'd like. This can even be legs up the wall. This is our opportunity to sort of feel the effects of our practice. We're no longer right side or left side or front or back, but this whole complete being. You might feel those energy flows more through the upper body, through the legs. Let the jaw soften again, the eyes close. We've arrived. Shavasana. Start to draw our attention back. Moving fingers and toes, arms reach overhead, maybe yawn. Bend your knees, make your way onto your side. And eyes closed or partially closed, press yourself upright to see. Hands to your heart in gratitude for all the time and effort you put into you today. Lift your chest, bow your head. Namaste.